Hi, I'm Hank. A couple of Christmases ago, I got an unexpected gift. A tabletop 4-inch Astroscan telescope from Scientifics. I call it a tabletop model because it doesn't have a tripod stand. I thought of it as the kind of telescope you'd get when you're 12 years old. But it got me to thinking about my interest in the night sky. As a result, I looked online and found a group called the Black Hills Astronomical Society and found out about a star party they were going to be having. These are gatherings where members bring their telescopes, and everyone who shows up can look through the different scopes, see some amazing stuff, and chat it up about all things astronomy. But my first star party was in November 2019. That's a little different than the typical warm summer night party because it was during the day, it was really cold out, and all the telescopes had solar filters on them so we could look at Mercury transit in front of the sun. Mercury is so small it was difficult to see. But on a whim, I pulled out my iPhone and took several photos through the telescopes, trying to get the phone camera hole lined up with the eyepiece and the telescopes. I finally got a photo, and I was hooked. Back home, I started to play with my phone and tabletop telescope and realized that the problem was in getting the telescope eyepiece and the camera to line up right, and to stop shaking long enough to take a good photo. I needed to stabilize everything. So I built a tripod stand for the telescope and purchased an iPhone holder. The holder clamps the phone over the telescope eyepiece, but it was still too shaky, so I built a jig on the telescope to stabilize the iPhone. With my little telescope, I was now able to take pretty good pictures of the moon. When comet Neowise appeared, my setup did a good job capturing the comet, too. This is the iPhone holder. This one here is a Carson. It's got a nice little hard shell case. This is the holder itself. It looks a little complicated, but it's not bad. Here's the squeeze, the spring-loaded squeezer that holds the phone in place. You just basically slide the phone in there, clamp that in. It gets pushed up to this little limit that you can set back here. And then after you get it in, you want to turn it over because you want to get the camera lens lined up perfectly in a little hole. I don't know if you can see it. There it is right there. And you want to get that perfectly lined up in the hole so that when the little rubber stoppers here go around the eyepiece of the telescope, you can clamp it right on. Now typically what happens when you put it on the telescope, you just clamp it on, and then you have to kind of adjust it by holding it as steady as you can to get that photo. You notice a little wiggle in there, and it doesn't show up very good. But what I did is I built a little clamp on the telescope, and the clamp has on it a screw that goes up and down, and it can level the iPhone with the telescope eyepiece. And so when I put it on, it has this little clamp to do it. So let's see how we're doing here. We're all lined up with our camera lens. Let's turn it on. And what have we got? Ooh, looks like we've got some pine trees out the window. So you can see we're moving here. I can adjust where the things are. Usually to get rid of the circle, I expand it out. The other thing you can do with the iPhone is you can adjust the brightness, the gain on it, and that's really important when you're taking pictures of things like the moon, which can really be so bright it just blows out the photo. So once you have it set up, you can press it and take a look at your photo, and there you are. What I've come to appreciate about my little telescope and iPhone is that you can take photos of a very wide field. wide enough to capture the whole moon and Neowise comet. The iPhone also allows me to zoom in and adjust the gain so the bright light of the moon doesn't blow out the photos. This setup is fast and easy to set up. The camera app that comes with the iPhone does a pretty good job, but you might want to check out other camera apps that offer more adjustments, such as Nightcap and ProCam. Finally, if you're thinking you'd like to go to a star party to see what's in the night sky, you might want to think about getting a phone holder. That way, when one of the people with a telescope says, "Would you like to see Saturn?" you can not only put your eye up to the telescope eyepiece, but you might ask, "Care if I take a photo through your telescope?" Maybe, if you can hold it steady enough, you'll be able to take a photo of Saturn home.